We're here today with David Williams, CEO of the newly listed K-TIG. David, thanks for your time.
Thank you, nice to be here.
Firstly, K-TIG, what is the technology and how is it used?
Okay, so it's a CSIRO developed technology, so Australian developed, it's Australian commercialised and it's Australian manufactured. Conventional TIG welding, particularly for things like pressure vessels, pipelines, boxes, it takes a preparation of the steel, so you can make the hole that you can put the fusion material into, and it's essentially just melting wire into it to bond the two pieces of metal together. What's developed with the keyhole TIG, and that's what the K stands for the keyhole TIG technology, is none of that preparation, bring the pieces of metal together like that, and then we pass the TIG arc straight through in one hit, and we use the parent materials to fuse, and therefore you do it in a single pass. So what it does is it reduces the time to do that welding massively, up to 95% faster. It reduces the labour cost because you don't have that experienced welder, if you need an experienced welder, and I'll come back to that, for that length of time. You also don't need that expensive consumable wire that in order to fill that fusion spot. And because it's a single process and not the layer process of a conventional TIG, you've removed the possibility of defects, that's where you get the defects in a conventional TIG, where you grind after a pass, clean it up, do another pass, grind, clean it up. So very, very labour intensive. Now the problem that the world faces, particularly in the high labour cost countries, is access to welders. No one wants to be a welder. Those that are and are skilled command high salaries. So surprise, surprise, these high labour cost countries have lost their market to the low labour cost countries, China, India, places like Indonesia. So what we're doing and what we're targeting is going back to these high labour cost countries, looking at the fabricators there, particularly who are keen on quality, because the K-TIG process has been certified by Lloyd's, it's been certified by Bureau Veritas to a nuclear standard, and saying to them, well, hang on, you can now compete with those countries because you can do it significantly cheaper and at a much higher quality.
How advanced is the technology?
Well, it's a classic of all good technology developments. It was discovered by accident. The CSIRO were looking for something else, came across this, thought it looked interesting, and long story short, it's ended up in K-TIG's hands. It has been for quite a while, 100% owned by us, and no royalties or feedback to CSIRO or anyone else. And so really the commercialisation of the development after the research phase, it was really sort of started in 2010, 2012. And by the introduction of Neil Lacane, my president of market development, Neil came in and said, hang on, it's all very fine to do research and development, let's commercialise it. And he had the view, which is the approach that K-TIG takes. It's a considered approach to ensure that we can deliver what we say we can deliver. So he recognised that in order to get industry's acceptance of this revolutionary, disruptive technology, he had to get endorsement from someone big. And who did he go to? He went to GE. Who did he get to give that endorsement? GE. And you'll see on our website a case study prepared by GE where they tick off all of these boxes. Bilfinger, exactly the same. Titan Metals, exactly the same. So to a stage now that we have the units out in 20 countries, multiple units in those cases, and that list reads like a who's who.
And what sort of results for customers are being achieved from the product?
Well, an example is GE. So GE now has indicated that for them it was a 95% saving in cost, 93% saving in time, 66% reduction in defects, and so the list goes on. So for customers now, and a really good example of this is the guys in Argentina. He won a 15-kilometre stainless steel water pipeline contract. Happened to get connected with us. We sat down there with him and said, right, this is how you set it up from scratch, the whole process line, sold him 4 units. He completed that project 550 days ahead of schedule. He did it in 112 days when it would have taken 660 days. I'll guarantee you probably charged for 660 days. So he was massively happy. The Argentinian government was massively happy. They awarded him another 10-kilometre contract. So there's the example of absolute savings in time and in cost, and the benefits then being shared by the fabricator. That of course has led us to our latest phase. We thought, hang on, we're saving all this money for our customers, we're helping them get back into the market. What about us? And so that, as part of the process of doing the reverse takeover into Serpentine Technologies, was let's move to a licensing model. Now, I describe the business model for K-TIG as having three disruptive, innovative limbs. The first is the K-TIG torch technology. The second is the use of the computer and the controller and through the Internet of Things, that buzzword we hear all about, up through the cloud, the collection of data, the setting of the parameters so you've got a repeatable, controlled welding procedure going forward, to then the third one, which is absolutely innovative in this fabrication industry, and that is you don't buy it off the shelf up front, as we have done. We'll provide it to you on a license. It will remain our kit, we'll put it in your place, you'll pay a small advance payment against future monthly charges. We then charge monthly on the number of metres welded in that month, minimum term, minimum charge, and that's a view of developing recurring revenue. And we continue to service it to make sure the replacements are there. We monitor it from back in Adelaide. We can let the customer know there's something not going right, and therefore we'll build up and continue that relationship with them. So we'll have our long-term trusted partner, and we'll have a long-term recurring revenue. But in order to move from all money up front to a money over a period of time, we needed to have capital, and that's where it hinged on the public offer through Serpentine, and then consequently the listing. Now, what was interesting about that, as soon as we knew that we were set to go and the money was coming in at the maximum level, we could then launch out on that welding as a service. And a customer who we'd been talking to for a year, Precision Fabricators, a well-regarded fabricator in the US, turned around and came back to us yet again after that year and said, oh, I'm really interested. And we said, well, hold it, we've got a new model. Let us explain it. And he said, send me a proposal. He signed it, returned it. Now we were caught because we weren't ready with a formal agreement, so we had to prepare that. We got that to him. He came back and he said, yep, just make these changes, it'll be fine. We sent it back to him and said, oh, by the way, we'll have to name you on the ASX because we're now listed. And then we didn't hear from him. We thought, oh, okay, and here we go again. What we then discovered was it was the long weekend in America. He'd taken 2 extra days off on the Thursday and Friday to go to a beach in Florida, and all he had was his Apple Watch. And so we communicated with him. He said, no, I want to sign it. I'll get it signed somehow. And that's where he got that through to us. And that's how quickly it happened, our first welding as a service license agreement.
And looking forward, what should investors be focused on?
I think the look for us to, again, what we want to do is to make sure we've got this model right. So we're not racing out and say, we'll get up 50 of these, 60 of these, because we mightn't have it quite right. We mightn't have the rate table right. So you'll see some more of these, both with people that we're going to work with, that are going to work with us, give us some case studies, help us fine tune and tweak it, plus others. Because we're not stopping the sales approach, and we're going forward as far as the license model is concerned. So you'll see more of those. You'll also see a paving of the way to what I see as the jewel, and that's the nuclear reactor decommissioning. And that's starting in the UK. Now with that, we want to do it the licensing model, so we've got to get that right. We've also got to get our ISO certifications. We're heading down that pathway at the moment. And we've also got to make sure we have a clear pathway to get back and engage with the authority over there, and to develop a proposition which we know is not only solid, but it's deliverable, and then look to deliver that and enter into negotiations with the authority. Now that in itself, all those stages will probably happen over the next 6 months. How quickly we can win over, if we can, the authority, well, that remains to be seen. But the prize is with a nuclear reactor to be decommissioned, every part has to be put in a stainless steel box. That box has to be encased with concrete, that has to be encased with another stainless steel box, and then it's put down on the ground. The current conventional TIG fabricator takes about 2 weeks to produce one of those boxes. We've demonstrated to the authority we can do it in 1 to 2 days. One reactor at Sellafield will take at least 70,000 of these boxes. There's in excess of 30 reactors to be decommissioned in the UK, then France, then Germany, then Japan, then the US. So you can see why I talk about the jewel, that we can get that. But what's important is that the jewel is if we can do it on the licence, and therefore we've got to make sure we've got it right, because there won't be any second chances. So you'll see announcements along the way that will take us to that pathway. And then I'm hoping, during 2020, calendar year 2020, I won't be reporting on licences signed, I'll be reporting on numbers.
Exciting times ahead, genuine customers buying genuine technology, a big jewel to focus on. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.